I forgot to do something. Let's just do something. Let's just do this. He says quickly. Of course, I can't find it. Here we go.
Hello.
Woo! Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is okay. Let's have a look at this. Who wants to join the club? Keith Simpson. Okay, you can join. Right. Oh, hello, everybody. Right. Yes, and
apologies for the lateness.
We were actually talking about UFO stuff. We're like, oh shit, let's start. So yeah, we'll be talking about some stuff. Have I got some guests for you coming up in the next 3 weeks? I've got some talking about some guests.
Can you rephrase that?
I've got some guests coming. That would be an orgy. That would be illegal. Get your mind out the gutter. Put it back.
No. You need to rephrase it again.
We've got some guests.
Yeah, you said it right.
Guests.
No.
What did you say?
You said I've.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. We've got some guests coming on the show. We have got somebody who claims to have been abducted by aliens. And after reading his case, I definitely think he's got something there. We have another gentleman who hunts he hunts worldwide, but he hunts predominantly the British cryptids and Bigfoot and Dogman sightings, and in Yorkshire and near here. And he's written several books, and he's been on the what's that show called? The radio show, the very famous one, the one that we were just talking about before this. Not the early
radio
show.
One.
No,
The Archers.
They talk about UFOs and everything on it. He's well known for it. Fuck it, he was on there. Yeah, and we've got another chap who had an encounter very close to here, so much so it's made him start his own website up, and he talks about the propulsion of everything, and how he thinks it works and stuff. Coast to Coast, that's what he was on. Coast to Coast. And we have a French gentleman who would like to come onto the show, who claims to be a member of Space Force. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to my beautiful assistant.
I know the ship he was on. It has the latest in technology and speed.
Just hang on 1 minute. So she's trying to whisper something. That's Ghost. Hello, Ghost. Right, what are you trying to whisper to me? Really? I'm doing the show. Wayne?
Yeah.
Wait, can you just talk a minute whilst I remove a spider from the landing?
Seriously. It's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those thin air ones.
Where is it?
One of those lovely little spiders with a really small body and the humongous long legs that just sit there in the corner and mind its own business.
I bet you.
Or it's a money spider.
So sorry. 1 minute.
Anyway, let's have a look. Who lives in a house like this? Well, we got Star Wars posters. Nice stormtrooper there up the corner. Yes. Evening, Jamie. Evening, Annette. I'm not in control of the thing, so I can't put people's names up. Yes. So anyway, we do have a few guests coming up, including a Frenchman who claims to be Space Force, and the ship he was on is supposed to have the latest technology in propulsion, and the ship is called the Escargot.
Really?
Sorry, I couldn't resist it.
Really?
Hang on a minute.
Somebody mentioned Star Wars. Oh, I take it you were looking at my.
Hang on a minute.
art.
I've got the cheese.
Oh, dear, oh dear.
That's convenience of being right next to my fridge. No, Malk, there is nothing wrong with Star Wars. I will admit that. There is nothing wrong with Star Wars. I love it.
Let's turn it around a little bit more.
Yes, Jamie, it was a great game at the weekend. I'm so glad I didn't watch it.
England v South Africa?
Nah, it was Everton getting their asses kicked again. It's a good job I'm not. It's a good job I'm not a die-hard fan like Mr. Parker. I couldn't care less if Everton lose and end up in the Championship, because they'll only go back up the following year. You know, at least we'll get a trophy anyway.
For those of you who are interested, by the way, why is the show not up on the Dark Mirror wall?
I don't know. Probably because it's going through simple.
There it is. It's now appeared. Yeah, for those of you who are interested, knew I was going away with the TA and the cadets and everything. I passed my test. I've got 4 more tests to do and a week-long test to do and a load of online tests. But yes, I'm going back in. I'll be back in uniform, and it's going to be all good fun. So anyway, right.
Yes,
back to
I'm jealous because my re-entering the Royal Air Force has come to a grounding halt.
Well, they found all my previous stuff. They found me my army. They found my rank, but everything else, all the courses I'd done, everything, my colour, because I was a colour sergeant eventually, they found none of it. All gone. All they know is I was an SI, sergeant instructor, and I was in the light infantry. That's it. Oh, and they had my army number. And they've got when I went in and when I left. That's it. Nothing else. Everything else has been sealed. They don't know why. So they're trying to unseal it.
Conspiracy.
I'm wondering if it's got anything to do with me dad. I don't know. But...
possibly, maybe.
Anyway, well, he was SAS, wasn't he? And all his stuff sealed. But yeah. But you'll get back in, don't worry. Eventually, you'll get it all sorted.
Now I'm not going back in now. That's it.
You don't want to?
No. I've got too much going on here now. I started the process before I started writing and started trooping normal. So now all of that started, there's no point in me going in now.
You'll have to excuse me. I'm doing the help. I've had my dinner and I'm full. Right.
Plus, I don't think with the conditions I've got, I don't think I'd be able to go back in.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
yeah,
I think.
Hey, everybody who's saying hey and hello and stuff.
If sleep apnea out of that, so
yeah, you wouldn't be able to go in with that. It's a bummer, but never mind. I'll do all your shouting for you. All right. So we were talking about alien abductions and this, that, and the other, and what whatever it was that happened to Wayne, it happened to Wayne. And by the way, for those of you who've been messaging in the week, we're not saying that Wayne was abducted by aliens. No. None of us have said that. We've said something weird happened. That's it. So, and at some point we were talking about Betty and Barney Hill. You have got the links I sent you last week, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I would love to talk about the Peru attacks. Yeah, do you reckon? Now, for those of you who are watching now, who don't know about the Peru attack, let me just jump back into the chat room. Now cut it, Wayne, and you can say you cut the cheese. Oh, dear, oh dear.
I can't cut it because if I do, I'll have to make a sandwich.
He's been cutting the cheese all night, apparently, and Ellen's been legging out of the room going, Bleh! So, yeah, he's had Brussels sprouts. If you hear any strange noises in the show, don't worry, it's not ghosts, it's not paranormal.
It's all right. I'll be like a dead beach whale. I'll hold on to it until I explode.
Live on air. You should be like, you literally hear him go, and then a big brown stain and go poof up the back wall.
It wouldn't be. It'd be a green mist pops up.
Our old Ron and his stench. Yeah, in South America for the last few months, there's a particular village and a particular indigenous tribe, which Wayne has got all the names of, that have been attacked regularly when they go out alone or near a river or anything like that. They've been attacked, and these locals have staunchly claimed that they are aliens, and they're like 6, 7 foot tall green aliens. It's not people in suits. It's not people in jetpacks. It's not people attacking them, because the official government saying this is it's illegal gold miners dressing up and attacking them to keep them away from their mine, which sounds very, very plausible. However, when you've got 250 odd people saying, we've seen all this stuff, the ones that have attacked us, we've actually grabbed them and felt them. It's not latex, it's skin, it's this. They had energy weapons. Now, a lot of these people have been attacked. Some have been killed. Some have had their throats slashed by claws, and some have had radiation burns all over their face and necks from some sort of energy weapon. A lot of them have had their faces peeled, and that's why they're known as the face peelers. But it's been kept out of mainstream media. It's only in certain places you can find out about it. And now Wayne's got the names and stuff. So would you like to read out a bit?
Yes, I'll read you an article, and this goes to the end of August. But it's Peruvian villagers claim that aliens standing at 2 meters tall attack them every night. The residents of a Peruvian village known as the Hayquito tribe have been living in fear as they claim to be under repeated attacks by towering 2 meter tall creatures. Menacing entities with luminous yellow eyes, dubbed Lafocaras, or the face peelers, have instilled terror in the hearts of the indigenous community of San Antonio, located at Alto Nanay, northeast of Lima. Distraught and desperate, the villagers implored the Peruvian military for assistance, initiating night patrols to safeguard their vulnerable population from these mysterious beings. Their accounts have caught the attention of local media, recounting encounters with these enigmatic figures dressed in dark hoods, responsible for a series of assaults that commenced on July the 11th. Reports indicate that the assailants, impervious to conventional weapons, have left the villagers sleepless and fearful for their safety. One chilling incident saw a 15-year-old girl hospitalized after narrowly escaping an attack that injured her neck. Jairo Rutgai de Vila, the community's leader, recounted her harrowing experience, emphasizing the dire need for intervention. The aliens seem to be impervious to harm. I fired at one twice, yet he emerged unscathed and vanished. We are living in dread, he lamented.
Sorry.
These peculiar beings, described as possessing elongated heads and vivid yellow eyes, have been relentlessly assaulting the villagers every night. Even Jairo Rutgai de Vila came face to face with one, revealing, I encountered one up close. His visage was scarcely discernible. I witnessed his entire body suspended about a meter above the ground. Struggling to protect their community, the villagers pleaded for military support. However, the village's remote location required a grueling tower river journey from Iquitos city. The isolation has taken its toll on the villagers, especially the children and mothers who now face sleepless nights. Oddly, the peculiar characteristics attributed to the aliens' circular hovering footwear, elongated heads, and their proficiency at eluding capture resemble creatures from local folklore known as the Placaras. These creatures are believed to feed on human flesh, fat, and organs. Despite their desperate pleas, the government remains unconvinced of extraterrestrial involvement. Instead, their intention has turned towards a more earthly explanation. Emerging evidence points to a gang of illicit gold miners who have tried to terrify the villagers to secure their illegal operations. The illegal gold mining syndicates linked to infamous drug cartels such as O Primeiro Comando de Capital in Brazil and Clan del Golfo, sounds like a golfer, in Colombia, have been accused of orchestrating the attacks. These syndicates have exploited the allure of gold mining, deemed more lucrative and less risky than drug trafficking. The remote location of Hayquito tribe presents an ideal opportunity for these criminals to establish their operations. Yeah, I've got an issue with that, though, straight away. The Peruvian government has turned around and said it's illegal gold miners. Normally, when you dig a mine shaft, the mine shaft is likely to be
live on air.
The mine shaft is likely to be less than 2 meters tall anyway.
It seems mighty strange that in terms of corruption, South American governments are very, very well known, especially Peru, Bolivia, and that for being corrupt as hell. And again, and it's been brought up on numerous TV programs, which you can go and find documentaries and stuff, that the Peruvian government governors, whatever, politicians, all know about the illegal gold mining activities, and a lot of them are getting backhanders and being paid for it. So me personally, I find it very, very convenient that these attacks are happening, and now all of a sudden the government are going, it's just illegal gold mining.
I just can't.
Yeah, well, thank you. Sorry,
I just can't picture a couple of 7-foot tall miners going down a mine. I just can't picture it.
Well, for those of you who want to know a bit more, I've just posted 2 links on the Dark Mirrors wall. So go and click on the links and it'll take you there and you can go and have a look.
Can you imagine them walking in the mine shaft and banging their heads all the way down? God,
swearing an alien. Swearing an alien. Ouch, ouch, ouch. E.T., shut the fuck up. Ouch. Yeah. You can just imagine that, can't you?
It just, I don't know, it just seems so preposterous. To turn around and say it's a gold miner, I mean, you can say that the gold mining is now becoming more profitable to these cartels than drug trafficking, but you've still got a physical element there that doesn't make any sense. Because anybody that goes down, you're going to dig a hole.
Anybody that goes down, choose your words carefully, young man.
You're going to go down a hole and looking for gold. You're not going to build something that's really obvious, like a 10-foot tall entranceway into a hillside or a mountainside, which would be picked up and seen by everybody local. Because then obviously they'd step in. But you would need it to be at least 10 foot tall for these 7-foot tall geezers to go in there. I just can't see it.
Wait, if you go back to the first reports of these, they were last year, I think. The first reports of these were people being attacked. They didn't know what by.
Yeah.
They weren't reporting aliens or anything. They were just being attacked by something that was scratching their necks, scratching their faces. And they go to shoot at whatever it was and they were gone. And then the next reports were the same thing, but people were receiving radiation burns. Then after that, there was the same thing, but people were starting to see glimpses of like a lizard or something like that. And then these things were supposed to be flying around. Focus, dear boy!
Sorry.
And then these things, and it's gradually gone from and it's ramped up and ramped up and ramped up and ramped up and ramped up. And then people have been killed and they've got the same wounds. And then they talk about these things flying around. The government tried to say it was illegal miners with jetpacks.
Like my put a little less coat.
Sorry?
It's all right. It's a bit like your daughter doing a live call halfway through the show. Ellen's just decided to jump in as well.
If you want to make phone calls, bugger off.
No, Ellen's talking about Yorkshire puddings.
What about us Yorkshire puddings?
That was a post I put on my Facebook earlier on about Yorkshire puddings.
You leave my pudding out of this. Yeah, and these sightings have got a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. However, the government then turning around saying that's illegal miners. A massive, great, dirty, great big triangle UFO has been spotted over Peru, exactly over where these sightings have happened. I've put the link up on the Dark Mirror show. Show's wall.
I think also when the first lot of sightings happened in the Peruvian villages, they blamed robbers, didn't they?
Yep, that's right.
They said that they were purposely scaring the villagers to get them to leave their homes so that while these people were away, they could break in and steal whatever they could.
And that was the government that said that.
And that's the government that said that. Now you've got the same country, the same government is coming out with the excuses, only this time round, the people that are being injured with ailments that are worse
an energy weapon
before, and it's radiation burns.
Yep.
you know, you can't just, you know, I can't see an old drug cartel that's now going into gold mining walking around with depleted uranium or something to go around creating radiation burns on people just to keep their gold mining a secret.
I think it's all bollocks. It's all a cover up. I think the government are complicit.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what that was. The government are complicit. They're in on it. They know what's going on. They've probably been paid off.
Yeah.
And if they've been paid off by illegal gold miners, they're certainly not going to turn around and say, "Oh, it's illegal gold miners." No. You know, it's completely another horseshit. Like I say, I've posted a few things up on Dark Mirror's Facebook's wall. Have a look, make your own mind up. As Marx just said, there's got to be something in it. They're just trying to cover it up. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I see Dr. Emmett Brown has joined us from 1984 there. So
Great
lovely
Scott!
to see you exactly. Lovely to see you. Great Scott, Marty! In the room there, Mr. Doc Emmett Brown, Eric Thompson, as he's otherwise known. Lovely to see you tonight. And everybody else who said hello, hello to you all. Everybody out there in Things Network Land and Spooky Network Land and Facebook and YouTube and everything else. Lovely to see you. Yes. So tonight's show is going to be about abductions, weird things, alien attacks, possibly Wayne's arse as well. So, you know, just stay tuned because anything can happen. I mean, there might be somebody throw a brown paint up the wall behind him. I don't know.
Oh, speak of the devil.
Have you farted again?
Yeah, well, I did say speak of the devil.
I haven't heard Ellen retching yet, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Probably ain't got to her yet.
I have a blocked nose.
Oh, my nose is blocked.
It was hilarious. Before we started the show, we did one, and Ellen ran from the room going, "Bleh!"
It's able to block her nose.
So, what do you make of the Betty and Barney Hill case?
Again, with most of these cases, there's got to be something in it, and obviously now I can sort of refer to this and speak from experience, because although I haven't gone through regression to see where those 35 minutes have disappeared to, they missed time as well. And they also, when they were put back further down the road, which would be time and distance, which is what we experienced. But because I haven't had the regression, whether regression would reveal what happened in them 35 minutes, I don't know. So we, you know, I, like Mark said earlier on, I've never said we were abducted by aliens. All we know is that we've lost 22 miles of space and 35 minutes of time. But with Betty and Barney Hill, you know, that they have now claimed, the claim was that they were removed from this earth by extraterrestrials. And, you know, they've been brought back. It's, I don't know, it's difficult because when I look at that, the Betty and Barney Hill's case, and I look at the Travis Walton case, there is this time and distance distortion. Something's there on both cases, and what happened to us last week. There is such a similar thing, and we're talking about a time in American history when black people weren't part of the run-of-the-mill society, were they? They were still frowned against.
Do you want me to read out a bit of what happened to them?
Yeah, go on then.
Right. So I'm just trying to see when this happened. This happened
1961.
Was it 61?
Yeah.
So it wasn't 69. But, right, they were driving along, and apparently Betty Hill appeared through the car's windscreen, and there was a strange beaming light in the sky, and it was behaving unusually. Her words. Rather than falling down, or as a shooting star might be, it just instead seemed to go upwards. Betty's husband, Barney, in New Hampshire's White Mountains, glanced up and saw the same thing. And the light grew bigger and brighter. And it seemed to be tracking them. The couple's dog apparently was bricking it and shat itself and was trembling on the seat between them. And the light was still there after a few miles. Barney stopped and they got out to take a better look. And when they stepped out the car and they had a pair of binoculars and they shared the binoculars, they saw a disc-shaped object in the blackness flashing multicolored lights as it was going near the moon or around the moonlight. And then what happened next? They claim to have been kidnapped by extraterrestrials, or if you've got 3 balls, extra testicles. September the 19th, 1969. 61. And according to government reports, they didn't just spot it. They said it's alien occupants took them aboard and subjected them to medical experiments. The couple described traumatic events, but not at first. And it's exactly as he said. They knew something was up. There was missing time and distance and everything. And they got regressed, and it was the regression, the hypnosis that brought it out. I'm just seeing if I can find. I've got their picture of the UFO, what it looked like. They've written things down about inside. Oh, it's from the pages of Project Blue Book as well. Barney shouts out, "We need to get out of here!" As they scrambled back into the car. They're going to capture us. They sped away. Then they heard beeping noises coming from the boot. They felt a tingling sensation, and they recalled making a sharp turn, running into some kind of roadblock and seeing a fiery orb. The next thing they knew, it was 2 hours later, and they were 35 miles down the road. No idea how they got there. The dog was still cowering under the seat and shitting itself. They had no idea how they got there, or the time delay, or what the hell happened. They can just remember there was this thing, there was a roadblock, bang, what the hell, we're down here. And apparently those noises that happened on the car's boot had strange shiny circles that hadn't been there before, as if something got and tried to pick it up, and there was like raised bits. When the couple held a magnetic compass near the spots, the needle went mental. Went grrr. All their watches had stopped. The binoculars strap had broken. Barney's shoes were scuffed up. Betty's dress was ripped. Sounds like an awesome party. And both of them were dusted with some unidentified powder. Samples were taken, but they couldn't identify it. And Barney had an odd feeling that someone had collected his semen. I'm sorry. An odd feeling that someone collected his semen. Yeah, all right, Ella. Wayne, have you farted? Yeah, you had an odd feeling that's somebody collecting your sperm. I'm sorry, but if it doesn't matter how it's taken, if you have jizzed your lot and you haven't realised about it, and then a couple of hours later you're going, it was a bit funny down there, you're gonna know. You're gonna know that you are running on empty. You will. You will. You will. You will. So, are you all right there now, Ellen? Ellen? So,
the thing is, there was also concentric circles on the car's trunk, which weren't there beforehand.
Yeah, the race thing looked like a magnet had picked it up and pulled the metal up.
The biggest issue I have with Betty and Barney's case is the fact that it was 1961. So,
and I completely agree. I know where you're going with this. Carry on.
Mixed race relationships were frowned upon.
Yeah, Barney is a black guy, not really nice guy, but back then, you don't do that. You didn't do that.
That sort of thing was frowned upon. So they were already against it by having their relationship. Yeah. Now, you stand to lose a hell of a lot more by going public with an incident like that. A hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
And I would probably go as far as to say that there might have been death threats or something involved.
Right.
Because of the political situation at the time, that would have played a part. You'd stand to lose so much by coming forward and saying, look, this has happened to us. Straight away, the second you pop up in front of a screen or on a newspaper, people are going to go, I ain't taking no notice of that. Got nothing to do with that.
Well,
So they had some balls, I will admit.
oh God, yeah, they definitely did. You know, and with everything that's gone on, to stand up back then and say, well, actually, no, and stick by this, and they stuck by it all their lives. They stuck by the whole things, and it didn't change really. They were like, yeah, this. I mean, as time goes, your memory erodes, but everything they said, they stuck to, and they you know,
Yep.
I'm inclined to believe it because, as you say, back then it was a stigma. It was not the done thing. You were frowned upon. You were looked at. You were treated like shit. You know, and the fact that they fight each other, yeah.
I mean, it's like, I mean, Travis Walton's case was exactly the same. The story's never altered any. And to be honest, from what we experienced last week, but I can't see my story changing any. And I haven't gone through regression, and I'm not planning on getting regression, because as far as I'm concerned, we're all fine now.
Yeah.
The marks on my leg have gone. The only thing I've got now that I'm still a bit confused about is the fact that for the first time, or since the incident,
It's just the yeast infection, isn't it? Is that cleared up yet, or is he still got it?
I've woken up every morning without a back or a hip ache, which for the first time,
Without a back,
and it's back ache, and that's something that I have had for the last six and a half years. So all of a sudden now, all last week and so far, touch wood, I've woken up minus the hip and backache. So, you know, it's not something I'm really interested in looking into any further, to be honest.
If whatever the hell happened, your back's better, and you're just like, nah, fuck it, let's move on from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Yeah, I don't see the point in trying to, you know, if I was having nightmares, you know, nightmares in particular of abduction, of places that are so far out of this world that there's no possible way I could have dreamt that sort of thing, then maybe I would be a bit concerned about what had happened. But because whatever has happened has benefited me, because that's the only thing I can point it down to, that what happened has benefited me, why kick up a stink about it? Why dive deeper into what happened when, you know, I'm better for it?
Why not? Why not? Indeed, you know. And it's like I was reading a lot about Betty and Barney Hill, and exactly that. At the time, they were treated like crap. No one believed them. They were like this, that, and the other. But they stuck to their story. They never tried to make any money off it and things like that. And it's always that makes you.
And that is one of the things, is when people go down that road, you know, like, oh, we'll go public with this. We'll sell our story. You know, everybody straight away, it's, oh, well, you've got paid 20,000 people, $20,000 or £20,000 for selling your story to a newspaper or a magazine. You know, I could very easily have done that. Monday morning, I could have very easily have phoned up, I don't know, one of these magazines and said, do you want a story about abduction? Because me and my friends had a case on Saturday, and watch the money come in.
Well, the thing is, it's like Travis Walton. For years and years and years, he didn't want to come forward. He didn't want to make any money. He does now. He's an old guy. And I completely understand that. Make some money for your retirement. Get it. Go for it. But it's the fact that he didn't. Whilst he was young, because he was ridiculed. He didn't want to talk about it. People found out about it, did ridicule him. All his friends did polygraph tests. They all passed. I think one didn't, and then he was retested and passed. All their stories were the same, and they were interviewed separately. They weren't interviewed together. They were all interviewed separately. Everything checked out. And as I say, he did not want the limelight. He didn't want the fame, the money, nothing. He just got on with his life for a long time. And it's that tells me something happened.
I think as well, could we be looking at the fact that because he was getting old, You know, could it be the fact that someone told him he had to be quiet?
That wouldn't stop me.
That too much information has already been given out. We need to do damage limitation, so keep your mouth shut from now on. And then when he gets older, he's gone, do you know what? I ain't going to live another 5 years. So sod it. I might as well just tell everybody what I know. You know, he's getting, like you say, he's getting old. You know, sell his story, make a bit of money. That sees him through retirement. But at the same time, it's too late for any powers that be to do anything about it. So why not?
It
seems to be when they've got nothing else to lose, they come forward. It's past the point of no return. No one's going to do anything because they're too old. So
I don't see why not. I really, really, really don't see why not. And like I said, I've read lots of cases where people have straight away gone, "Oh, this happened, that happened." No, because the first thing he did was go straight to the papers. First thing he did was write a book. First thing he did was make money. No, I don't. I mean, there may be some out there that have had it happen and have made some money straight away, and it really did happen. I don't know, but and also you got to remember all the missing. Is it the missing 400?
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, there's new things about the Travis Walton case, which are just bloody bizarre. I've just found something here. Aliens accidentally killed me, but took my corpse onto the UFO to save my life. That was, remember when at the beginning of it, he was sent flying backwards.
Yeah.
When he went near it, he was zapped by something. Well, listening to his interviews and everything, and I've just read that as well. He claims that they actually did kill him, but that's why they took him aboard to bring him back. He says he got blasted 20 feet away, which, all his friends corroborated that. I suppose if you're getting blasted by one of them things and you go, fuck off! And you land, it's going to kill you, isn't it? Or at least fuck you up. And the coppers originally, when they turned out, thought it was that their friends murdered him and it was an elaborate hoax and cover-up. But when he came back 5 days later and said, actually, this happened, and I was killed, but I was brought back. All this stuff, this is why he hid away. And he went, no, I'm not going to come into it. But I can definitely see that an energy weapon of some sort is going to do that to you. And yeah, why not? But if they've got like a Lazarus pod or something on the ship, they'll bring him back, won't they?
Yeah. And this is again, elaborate detail. His experience was literally put down so much that, there's too much information there that would be something out of a science fiction novel. But there's a lot of stuff there that when you look at it nowadays, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And like he said in one article, he said that the world wasn't ready to grapple with the implications of what happened to him, and that aliens exist and are visiting our planet.
Of course they are, and of course they did. I mean, the thing is when you read into the Travis Walton case, if you read about the journalists that interviewed him, most of them have turned around and said that, but with the time they spent with him, and when they spoke to him on the record, off the record, and all this stuff, pretty much all of them were convinced that, it happened to him. None of them thought he was a liar. And you know yourself, many hacks that can spot a liar from 200 feet away. But the fact that almost all of them, apart from like two, have said, actually, I think something did happen to him. That kind of tells you a lot as well, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the problem is he's passed the polygraph test.
Yeah, and they all did.
So everything they have said has been proved. They're not lying. So that means their recounting of what they saw in the woods, the point to when they stopped and Travis Walton got out and approached the vehicle, the bit where he was thrown 20 foot back when he was beamed up into the craft, then everything that happened to Travis Walton while he was missing, has all passed the
medical
polygraph.
experiments, which turned out was whatever the hell they were doing to save his life.
Yeah. So whatever, every account of what happened to him before, during, and after has all passed a polygraph test that says they're not lying. So surely, if they're not lying, what's the opposite of a lie?
Yeah, the truth.
The truth.
The truth.
So if that's the truth, then it must be that there are beings out there that are popping us up and going, hello, anal probe time, or whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing it to torture us or anything like that. Like you said, it saved his life.
I think the thing is, with a lot of all these abduction cases and stuff, you've got the missing 400, you've got the Canada Triangle, you've got the Bermuda Triangle, you've got triangles over here where people have gone missing. Every single country, you've always get odd, anomalous triangles where people do go missing. The Alaskan Triangle is an amazing one if you ever read into that. But some of these cases, I think, are black ops pretending to be aliens so they can do whatever the fuck they're doing for nefarious purposes. I think a lot of them are real cases, but I also think some stuff is misidentified. We're not on the show. We you know yourselves on this show, we'll try and poo-poo stuff. We'll try and disprove stuff. And if you can't disprove anything, after you've discounted everything, whatever's left has got to be the truth. So, you know, I do think something happened. It's like with Wayne, I think something happened. I'm not saying it's aliens or anything like that. Aliens! Or anything like that, but something odd happened. You know, and even Wayne's to him, I said, I don't know if it was aliens or what, but something odd happened. You know.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
That's the thing, you see. Because yet again, there was 4 of us present at the time. Okay, one of us was asleep, but 3 of us were wide awake, and we were all talking to each other. We were all smoking. It wasn't hot in the car or anything, so we weren't getting warm and comfortable, so we were drowsy, and yet we all managed to miss that 22-mile gap. You know, you could understand if it was just one person. But
that's the thing.
All three of us.
Yeah. So something odd happened. We don't know what it was, but your back's better, so fuck it, leave it there. Your ass evidently isn't better, so the anal probe has worked.
No, that was the sprouts.
Is that what you call it now? Is that what those little probes are? Sprouts.
They're disguised as sprouts.
Brassica olearia capitata of the bottom world. Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, what do we all make about what's going on? Because there's been all these over the decades. There's been all these abduction things. There's been the missing 400. Then there's all this disclosure, and then there's all the government sections over in America and as well over here. They're just as complacent as the Americans, panicking like fuck because they're going to get called out and told you are going to tell the truth. And now they're all trying to come up with all these feasible, plausible stories to explain everything. Now, one of the things I've been following is a set of remote viewers. Now, these remote viewers, they're in a collective, global collective, and they keep being given tasks to do, to look at this, look at that, look at this. No? And they all had a major task to do in regards to what's going on in the Middle East. I'm not going to go any further into it than that because we're not going to do the politics on this show. And I don't care what anybody's politics are. If you put it in the chat room, it'll get deleted. So these guys have issues. Let them fight it out amongst themselves. Now, when they were all trying to do their remote viewing thing, as they tried to zap in on whatever it was they had to remote view, every single one of them, and I'm not talking a few, I'm talking a lot because they're global collective. They all did histories, case studies, they all did reports. Bless you! They all did these reports of
Sorry.
of being drawn away when they were trying to zoom in on what was going on. Every single one of them, all at the same time, were drawn away into the future to 2027 when a major incident is going to happen that's going to completely change the world's view about disclosure, aliens, religion, everything. Is that going to be full disclosure, or is it going to be a load of bullshit and Project Bluebeam made up by the government? What do you reckon?
Well, I think it's going to be more lies, to be honest.
Probably.
I mean, remote viewers themselves have been used for a long time. And it wasn't until the 90s. And I thought remote viewing and the system of remote viewing had stopped years and years ago. I'm not talking about the 90s. I'm talking about late 70s, early 80s.
Hey, Josh.
But to find out that they were actually still going with a team that were doing remote viewing, I mean, it was literally funding by the American government for this program stopped. It stopped in 1994. The funding for the,
so they say.
Yeah, the funding. Well, they did. They stopped the funding for the program, and it went from the Department of Internal Affairs to the CIA in 1995. So, although the military establishment stopped, the defense agency stopped paying for the funding, the CIA took over. So the government was still funding it, but just in a different format.
The thing is, the CIA was started up just a few months after the Roswell incident. That was started up, the security charters were started up, and the USAF was born because it was originally part of the army.
Yes.
All a few months after the that incident I just mentioned that's gone straight out my fucking head. My brain, I tell you.
The Roswell incident?
That's the one, Roswell incident. Mightily strange that. All over a weather balloon. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is what the CIA then did was they hired American institutes for research. And they
went out and got the Germans, the Nazi scientists.
Well, exactly. I mean, I was watching something yesterday which I thought was quite amusing because my friend Richard Felix was on there. It was quite funny. But they were talking about was Adolf Hitler actually executed? Turns out the jawbone that they'd found at the bunker that the Russians said was him was that of a woman. A pilot had actually stated that he flew Hitler and Eva Braun out of Berlin.
He was in somewhere off Argentina, wasn't he, for the rest of his days? He
was then sent down to Spain, onto the Canary Islands, where a submarine took him to Argentina. So they claiming now, there is a claim there, which I hadn't really sort of thought about to start off with, that although Hitler did what he did, there was a deal struck with certain governments from around the world that he would disappear.
Because they wanted his tech.
He would give them the scientists and all of the blueprints for all the tech that they'd got.
Die Glocke.
And he would disappear. And they've gone, fair enough, because oddly enough, there was a group of submarines that were supposed to be aiming for New York to do a chemical attack in New York. Yet, oddly enough, at the same time the Russians entered Berlin, this group of German submarines were mysteriously attacked. But they were attacked by the Atlantic Fleet, who were originally in the south and had moved up to the north and concentrated most of the force up to the north to meet up with these submarines, which allowed the other subs, and there was about 5, I think, in total that made it to Argentina. There was 5 then that went down the coast and then straight across from Africa over to South America.
And if I'm right in thinking, weren't those subs scuttled once they dropped their passengers off? They went.
Four of them were scuttled. One of them was captured.
Yeah, the ones that were scuttled went to another island, didn't they? And then just scuttled everything, and then they vanished.
But because Argentina was German friendly, and there was a German community already living there. All these people that come off the submarines all of a sudden mysteriously blended in, because there was, I think it was something like 15,000 German nationals had moved to Argentina before the Second World War broke out.
They've got their own village, haven't they?
Sorry?
They've got their own village, German village, and it's just like walking somewhere in the Tyrolean.
Yeah, they've even got Bavarian style housing. So all the houses that have been built in this village all resemble traditional German or traditional Bavarian style houses, and some of them to this day still have the swastika on them.
Do you think they still like the German sausage?
But you see, the thing is as well, it wouldn't be surprising. I mean, I was shocked myself when I went to Athens a few years back. We were walking down a main road and we passed this building. It was a government building. And on the gates, they've got wrought iron gates and a wrought iron fence running the span of the front of the building. And every gap was an iron swastika in the middle.
Was it the correct way round, or was it the?
Yeah, no, it was the Nazi swastika, not the Buddhist or Hindu one, which is the other way. It was the Nazi swastika. And I turned around to my sister's other half, Spiros, and said to him, "Why have they still got this here? Surely you would remove it." And he turned around and he said, "No, because it's a reminder. The Greek government wants that to stay there to remind people of what they went through and what they do not want to go through again."
Yeah.
And I think that is why they kick up such a fuss when the EU turns around and says, "You're going to do this and you're going to do that," and they've gone.
Well, I can say to anybody who's listening and wondering why the hell we've gone from alien abductions to this. The Nazis allegedly had help from beings from elsewhere in their science
research
kits, UFOs, because they made their own UFOs, and there was the Die Glocke, which was supposed to have been a revolutionary engine that was capable of time travel and traveling vast distances, like I wouldn't say warp, but using quantum, from one cell to another across the other side of the galaxy, like that. And that was supposed to have been run on Red Mercury, wasn't it? But
we also have to remember as well is the space program, the American space program, would not have got underway as quick as it did if it hadn't have been for
Wernher von Braun,
the scientist.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for von Braun, the Saturn V rocket would have never been invented, and it would have been probably 10, 15 years further down the line before anything remotely near the Saturn V would have taken off.
And also, whilst we're talking about aliens, because we are aliens and cryptos and everything, I was watching a fascinating thing the other day, and it was talking about the 315 miles of vaults underneath the Vatican in the Vatican archives. And it was talking about the ancient manuscripts that are nearly 1,000 years old that talk about our old kings and our old gods who came from elsewhere, and how the Catholic Church, it didn't fit in with their narrative, so they've hidden it from the rest of the world for good. The same as they said that this is controversial, so I'm not trying to blaspheme or anything. They said that Jesus Christ and a few of the other famous, I'm not going to say the names, but famous gurus,
prophets,
religious leaders, were actually gene manipulated on board a spaceship, and they were the product of gene manipulation and then put inside a human female, and then they came to term and these guys were born, and that's why they had all these weird, wonderful powers. But the main power that all these people had, it wasn't any crappy ability, it wasn't walking on water, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. And they've said, no, none of this happened. It was just, you can induce people to think these things. And that's the thing that they said these hybrids had, was the ability to influence people and influence change. And that's why these guys were put on there to influence, to change, to keep the attention away from them so they could do whatever the hell they're doing and get to the point now. And the Catholic Church, the Holy Roman Catholic Church, knew all about this and have been hushing it up because it doesn't fit with their narrative. Jesus was married, he had kids. And that was one of the Bibles, the books that was left out of the Bible. And they knew all about it, and there's evidence of it. But of course, you can't get into the Vatican vaults. Only one person knows about this stuff, and he is dead now. And I think he was like 85 years old or something when he went down there and made notes of all this stuff. But there's evidence for pretty much everything that's going on. They've even turned around and said that most demons and things, there are real demons, but most of these so-called demon sightings and demon attacks and this, that, and the other, they're actually beings from other dimensions, or possibly beings from other planets and stuff. Not every single thing you see on a paranormal TV show is a fucking demon. Not every single attack is a demon. There's other logical explanations for it.
I must admit, what makes me laugh though is we're going by. I don't know. It just confuses me because we say about the Bible, okay, and we're talking about manuscripts that were missing.
Yep.
Right. And they just so happen to be
was it 19 or 90? I can't remember if it was 19 or 90 books that they just went, no, it doesn't fit in with our narrative.
There was thousands. There was about 3,000 or 4,000 manuscripts. Some of them they couldn't even decipher because they had turned to dust. But ones that they could decipher, the Vatican turned around and said, no, this don't fit in with what we want. So we'll exclude them. But what has made me laugh is the Bible is supposed to be ancient. Okay. So, well, it's older than 80 years old. Correct?
Yeah. And it changes every time it's redone.
No, the Bible is older than 80 years old. Okay. The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered between 1947 and 1956. So who translated the Dead Sea Scrolls into what is now the Bible if they were in the cave in the middle of nowhere for all that time until some shepherd boy throws a stone into a cave and hears ching of a clay pot being broken and goes, oh, look what I found here.
The Bible, when you look at it,
is sparked something here because that doesn't make sense to me. We've got a Bible that is based on the Dead Sea Scrolls that is like 1,000 so many years old, and yet the Dead Sea Scrolls have been lost for so long and appeared in a cave after the Second World War.
When you look at the original Bible, when they had the conclave and the books that were left out, you had books left out that talked about the ancient kings. It actually talked about the king's list. The king's list where the kings lived for thousands of years, not a few decades, but for thousands of years. That was left out because it doesn't fit the narrative. Now, God, we can't possibly say these people are very long-lived or immortal. The Emerald Scrolls, everything. And the Dead Sea Scrolls, a lot of them talked about the people before us. It talked about the Anunnaki. It talked about Enki. It talked about Enlil and how those two decided that we're going to have a scrap with each other because one wanted us to thrive and be better than them. The other one didn't like it and wanted us all wiped out. And that's where you get the good guys, the angels, the bad guys, the demons. A lot of the stuff in the Bibles, when you read about it, from what I've read, this is my only thing, just research it yourself and you'll see what I mean. A lot of stuff in the Bible is taken from one religion, was taken from that, was taken from this, was taken from that, was taken from that. And then it was changed and altered to make it fit in the Roman Catholic version of events. And we
know that they were capable of doing it because of the James I Bible.
Yep.
You know, it was altered.
And then it's indoctrinated into us since we're that big that this is what actually happened. No, it didn't. And I've got one thing to say to you, everybody out there, all you doubting Thomases. Mary followed the star, which was a bright light in the sky, which followed her wherever she went. This bright light that eventually went bing and shone down on her. And then, oh, she's pregnant. How did that happen? Make of it what you will. Food for thought.
No, I've had enough food.
Yeah, we know we have. On that note, on that bombshell, I think we'll leave that there. That was a very good ending. But yeah, think about it. Don't complain. Don't send me complaints and stuff like that, because I'm only giving my opinion. I'm not giving the opinion of everybody. But when you do as much research as most of us who do these shows do, you will start to go down lots and lots and lots of rabbit holes. And I know some of you in the chat room now, some of you who are watching this have been previous guests on the show, and you know full well what I'm talking about. When you go down these rabbit holes, you start going, oh, let's go and follow this one. And then you'll follow that one and go, oh my God. And then something else will crop up and you go, oh.
I think, and that is the problem with going down a rabbit hole. You will go down one entrance, but then all of a sudden it might branch off into three.
Yeah.
And you've got to make a choice of one of those three. But then when you go down that one, you'll come to another 3 or 4 or 2, and you end up going in all different directions. And this is what you do. You tend to ask more questions than you're actually getting answers. And you're going, well, what if it's this? What if it's that? Well, if it's that, could it be this? Could it be that? And you just keep asking more and more. And the next minute, you've got more questions than you've got answers. And you end up just, your head's completely shot to pieces because you've asked yourself too many questions and not got any answers for it.
Well, I've got one more for everybody out there watching this, and everybody who's in the chat room, and everybody who watches this in the week. I've got one more for you. Like I said, when you look at all the narratives of all the, this is another thing. When you look at all the holy books, everything's the same timeline. The same thing happens in every single bloody holy book. It's just the names are changed to protect the innocent. It's all slightly different. And as I say, with Mary Magdalene, you had the star that followed her wherever she went, and the light beamed down on her, and then she was pregnant. I'll leave that one with you. When people report sightings of UFOs, what do they see? Exactly. They see a light in the sky that follows them. Sometimes they report a light. You pack it in. They report a light that beams down on them. Does that sound very familiar to you? Now, the other thing is the massive giant UFO that's supposed to be on the Earth. That's so big, if it took off, it would take half a country with it. I've been following that one closely as well.
Is that the one that they've had to build around it to hide it?
That's right. But apparently this thing is so big, and it will come out when apparently this thing is so big that when people realize what it is and where it is, they're going to go, oh my God, how the fuck did we not realize? Because it's so obvious. And it's supposed to be not the size of a house, not the size of an Olympic running track or anything like that. Joe, you always turn up just as we're about to finish. Good God. And she's one of the team. So yeah, this thing is bigger than any Olympic track and field site. It's bigger than any building. It's several times bigger than these things. So big it can be seen by the International Space Station. So I want you all to do a little bit of homework, start going on Google Maps, see what you can see. And this thing isn't round, it's elliptical. So tell me what you think. Tell me where you think it is. I've got my own ideas, but that's something for you guys out there to do. Go and have a look at something so big. You can see it from the International Space Station. It will be seen on Google Maps. Of course you are. You're a proud member of the team. It'll be seen on Google Maps. And
even if she is a bit late.
I think we should collate all our things. Send it to the email address that you will see scrolling down the bottom in a minute. Send what you think, where it is, to our email. And then we'll have a look at them in the week. And then we can see if it all lines up. So drop us a line to the Dark Mirror Radio Show at yahoo.com. There is a website coming. So stay tuned for that. And we have got some awesome guests coming in the next few weeks as well. So anyway, that's homework for you to do. I've left you with food for thought over Mary Magdalene. And yeah, I'm glad you are feeling better. And I'm glad you're just going to leave what happened to you there now. And I think that's probably a wise move.
Indeed.
Yeah. Does Eric win a prize? What, for being there from the start and being Dr. Emmett Brown? You win a DeLorean. You win a DeLorean. Or a flux capacitor. Have you noticed that the flux capacitor looks like a... No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Well, I'll talk about that next week. Just have a look at the flux capacitor and see what it looks like to you. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Wayne, as per usual. My lovely co-host there. Everybody in the chat room, everybody watching, keep your eyes to the skies. If you see it, tell us at the email address or just message us on Facebook, because we do listen to you and we ain't going to ridicule you. And I think next week we should start talking about cryptids, UK cryptids. What do you think? Do you reckon?
I am one.
Well, so am I. If I take my t-shirt off, I'm hairy as fuck. So that's what it was. The first Bigfoot sighting of the wee hairy men up in Scotland was actually me with a barbecue and no clothes on in the middle of the woods. So I'll leave that one with you. Yeah, thank you for joining us, guys, and we will see you next week. And
yes,
we've got some cracking guests coming. Can I just say, Mark, what are those pics behind you? Star Wars.
Seriously, Joe.
Star Wars! Hang on. Say Star Wars.
See now, Mark's dropping one.
No, I was just moving out of the way. It's Star Wars, Joe, because my lovely missus let me put the Star Wars pics up. And I've got my alien head, and I've got a lava lamp over there in the background as well. I actually have a lava lamp. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, and... right. We will see you next week. So take it easy, guys. Thank you very much for listening, and everybody out there on all the various platforms we go out on. Thank you for watching.
Yes. We've got to go, because if we don't go, we can't come back.
And also, I think if we don't go, Wayne's possibly going to soil his pantaloons. So we will see you later.